Hey y'all, welcome back now to Generation X Nation. As always, everything on my channel is alleged, in my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. Alleged, in my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. Now, we're going to discuss this whole Love and Hip Hop episode that aired on Monday night. And I'm really going to try to dig in deep on the whole Yandy, Mandeezy, Rashida, and Kurt. And I'm trying to compare to see which couple actually got through this whole cheating thing the best. I don't know. So that's what we about to find out. But I'm going to do a little history real quick. Before we start, one thing I want to say to everybody who has subscribed, liked, and left a comment to my channel, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Hit the notification bell, leave a comment, leave a comment. Tell me what you think about this. All right. Now, let's start with the whole Yandy and Mendeezy. And the reason I'm going to start with them is because Yandy and Mendeezy started out in New York. They were one of the original couples on Love and Hip Hop, along with Chrissy and Jim Jones and Kimbella and I think Jules Santana, whatever. It was a bunch of them. And you know the whole what's his name with the three girlfriends, Joe Button and the guy that had Mia and the other girl. I forgot their names. It's been a while, but I have been watching the show that long. Now, back in the day, Yandy was one of the people that the girls looked up to, and then all of a sudden she started having issues with. And I know Yandy, I always liked Yandy because of who she portrayed herself to be. Beautiful black woman, smart, intelligent business lady. She had all the boxes checked. But she was dealing with Mandeezy, who we all know it was a street dude. Let's just keep it real. I don't know what he did outside of that, but we know he was a street dude. So as the show go on, when they started years and years ago, her and Mandeezy had went through their ups and downs. But Yandy started losing friends. And I used to be like, I like Yandy. Up until this day, I still liked Yandy. And I said, you know what? Maybe they just jealous of Yandy because Yandy got all of this going on for herself, and maybe they're trying to get there because most of them were wives or girlfriends of the rappers or the artists, where Yandy was actually in the business. So I felt could have been a little jealousy. I don't know. Now let's think about this. Yandy started having problems with Kimbella. Remember, they got into a big old argument and a fight ensued over, I guess Yandy didn't take up for Kimbella or something. Yandy had an issue with Chrissy. I think to this day, Chrissy, which is Jim Jones's girlfriend or ex-girlfriend, I don't know where they at now because I don't follow them, but she had issue with Chrissy. To this day, Chrissy still doesn't speak to her. Yandy then had an issue with all of Medici's baby mamas when he went to jail. I think one of them she was trying to put out the apartment or evict. He owned, I guess, an apartment or something, and she tried to evict a girl. They had issues with the kids. It went on and on. All right. Then her and Medici got married. Remember when they got married? And then Mendici went off to jail. And then when he got back out of jail, we found out that the wedding was fake. It was a ceremony, but not a real marriage. So Mandy has kind of been lying in our face for a while. And we kind of just been letting it slide because who she was. She was Yandy. She was an intelligent, beautiful woman. And we want to give her the benefit of the doubt. Now, bringing up to date, now they're down in Atlanta. And this is where I have the problem at, Yandy. You have lied to us since you've been there about you and Mendeezy's relationship. And that's fine. It's your business. But remember, you're on a reality TV. Now, again, all my commentary is alleged, in my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. Again, alleged, in my opinion, for entertainment purposes only. So this commentary that I do is week by week based on what I see on the episodes. I understand that shows are edited and we don't always get the whole conversation. So let's get started. They sit down at the table. Now it comes out that yes, Mendeezy was sending voice notes to women, and yes, you were having an emotional relationship with a man behind Mendeezy's back. Mendeezy wasn't wearing his wedding ring. You was saying, hey, it's tit for tat. If you do it, I can do it. Y'all both admitted y'all were acting like high school teenagers trying to get back at each other. And where do we go from here? Now, go back to last season when Jasmine, Kurt's baby mama, and her two stripper friends confronted Yandy and Mendeezy at that event. And how Yandy got in that girl face, say, get out of my husband's face. You don't know what you're talking about. I was the one responding back to her, made all of that crap up. And we thought it was a little strange. We was sitting there like, that don't make sense. Oh, why would Yandy be responding back to somebody for her husband? Now we understand. You were lying the whole time. But Yandy did say something that stuck in my head. Y'all are not going to break up my marriage. That marriage was in a shambles then, and she lied, lied, lied. So now we up to date. You done pissed somebody off, and he done came out and told on you. So all the while y'all kept saying Mendeezy was cheating, when actuality they both were cheating on each other. Yandy played in our face, and I don't like it. So going forward, they decided to do better, be team Yandy and team Mendeezy. They're gonna work as one team together, gonna put the wedding ring back on. And then Mendeezy said, I need you to be loyal. I need loyalty and love. And she said, love should come before the loyalty. He said, no, I believe in loyalty. Yandy has been loyal to Mendeezy up until she had the emotional relationship. But that doesn't mean she was actually in love with Mendeezy. Mendeezy is telling me that since Yandy has been loyal, I'm going to hang in there with her. That doesn't mean that I love her, because in his mind, loyalty comes first. I don't know, Yandy. This is a real sticky situation here. I don't know if you and Mendeezy gonna make it. I hope you do, because I ain't praying for nobody's downfall or nobody's marriages to end. But my God, y'all both sitting there lying to each other. Maybe y'all shouldn't be. And again, we don't even know if they really legally married, because remember, they weren't really legally married in New York because he was on his way to serve some time in the pen. And Yandy didn't want the feds coming after her money. So she just had a ceremony, but they never filed no legal paperwork. Then when they came out, remember they went over to Dubai or somewhere and had yet another wedding. We don't know if she filed paperwork when she got back. So in my opinion, it's still up in the air if they're legally married. They can walk around here act like a married couple, but I don't really know if they're legally married. Okay? So now everybody's at the listening party. Everybody's showing up in their cars and they doing a slow-mo intro as they always do on these shows. Now, mind you, Jock and Scrappy, in my opinion, have never been the type of guys who kept mess going. But in this episode, they were pretty freaking messy. They was the bone carriers, as they like to call them on these reality TV shows. So Kurt and Rashida walks in, and then before they enter the room, Scrappy looks over at Jock and he's like, "Hey, did you talk to Kurt and Rashida about what Mandeezy said?" Jock kind of alluded to they had a conversation, but he didn't say everything. He said, you didn't mention the part about Mendeezy's manhood. Jock kind of said no. So as they come in, they start having a conversation with Rashida and Kirk. And they was trying to tell him what Mendeezy said. And Scrappy is really being messed. Scrappy need to be focusing on Bambi and all them other kids you got, but that's just my opinion. Scrappy said, yeah, Mendeezy basically said, you need to keep his manhood out your mouth. Why are you so worried about his manhood? And he used the P word, but I'm gonna use manhood on here because this is YouTube and I don't know what they like or don't like. And Kurt and Rashida like, what? What are you talking about? And then Jock says, hey, he ain't just say manhood. He said, why you doing all this extra stuff? They both alluded to Mendeezy saying that Rashida had a thing for him, like he need to keep his eye while he chasing after his baby mama, which I guess he's talking about Jasmine. You need to keep your eye on Rashida, the main course. And Rashida went into her little rant. Who? She talking about me? I know you ain't talking about me. I can't even understand what that man saying when he talking. Kurt being his usual laid back self, just, giving you that look. You know how Kurt does. So then Rashida had the balls to say, he can't even talk. He's sitting around here being a house husband. He need to worry about his wife taking trips, sitting on other man's, the D word. Rashida, please, and hear me clearly. The word of cheating in anybody, housewife, house husbands, whatever the case may be, that is not a topic that you should be spitting out your mouth and talking to anybody negativity about. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Rashida, when it comes to cheating and any woman's husband or boyfriend cheating on them, and your opinion and giving your opinion on it and telling somebody what they should be doing, you might want to pull back on that. Because we could say the same thing about you. Instead of you sitting at home being a housewife, maybe you should have walked and see who Kurt was sticking his manhood in. But we gonna pull back. Cause I think you done had enough beef this week, and K Michelle been in your behind, and y'all going through your own personal things. I don't want to talk about that because I don't get into all that really negative stuff. I think that was unfortunate what happened, and I hope that you guys don't have anything to do with that. However, going on. I thought that was just really bold of Rashida to make that kind of comment on. I mean, really, Rashida, you know they're going to eat you up on that one. Please, going forward, please don't discuss nobody else's relationship. Please, because right now, you looking real silly with the whole Jasmine running around with your mom, best friend thing. Y'all taking trips together, and I get it. It's good to be cordial with the mother of your child and your current wife, whatever the case may be. But y'all just a little cringy at it. And it does give Polly, but we'll let that go. All right. So we're gonna move on to Yandy and Mendeezy as they do the intro. All right, now, so this conversation is continuing, and Mendeezy and Yandy is coming into the building. As they coming in, they kind of looking at them, Kurt and Rashida and Jock and Scrappy kind of giving them the side eye. Rashida's still talking. Rashida's still talking about they scheming and they lying, manipulative. Um, she talking about she don't F with those type of weirdos and all of this crap. And then she said that, Yandy and Kurt, I don't know. I guess Rashida has some issue with Yandy, and I believe, just my personal opinion, that Rashida was like the HBIC on this show. She was the OG. She had been on the show longer than everybody else. So all the women kind of looked up to her and Kurt in their relationships. And now Yandy and Mendeezy, who came off the New York franchise, is now down here in Atlanta. Yandy is just as successful as Rashida in her own right. I mean, she don't do music, but she's a businesswoman. And people are coming to Yandy. And maybe Rashida had a little bit of jealousy there. I don't know. It just didn't make sense to me why she just so despised Yandy and Mendeezy. I think Yandy, Mendeezy, and Rashida and Kurt could have made one of the best friend groups there because they don't have anything to prove to each other. They're both successful in their own right. And they could have been so powerful and a big influence on the other people coming in who's struggling, trying to get their feet on the ground. But instead, they started fighting each other. That don't make sense to me. But again, this is reality TV and everybody needs a storyline. So moving on. They sit down and all of a sudden Rashida's just annoyed. As soon as Yandy Mendeezy walks in the building, she gets annoyed. She's annoyed. She says she is so pissed off. She's tired of playing these games. She said she despised them. They making up shit about her and Kurt. And she said Yandy and Mendeezy are so disrespectful to her and her husband that she can't believe it. She despised people like that. And she called them the bottom of the barrel. The bottom of the barrel. Can you believe that? She said she despised them and they did some disrespectful stuff to her husband. Like Jasmine, who is now hanging out with your mama, didn't do anything disrespectful to your husband, didn't do anything disrespectful to you, only came out to the world that Kurt was cheating with her. She had his baby, took a DNA test, and it was positive, and you stayed. But none of that was disrespectful. Jasmine never disrespected your marriage. I didn't see you have this much hate on TV, at least for Jasmine, as you have for Yandy. It's not making sense to me, Rashida. It's not making sense. At least not to me. And maybe some of the people that watch it. But it definitely ain't making sense to me. All right, so then they flash over to Yandy. Yandy's sitting there with Kendra. And then little Zane, I keep forgetting his wife's name because she is so irrelevant to me. But I'll talk about her towards the end. But she sits down there at the table. Kendra tells Yandy she needs a lawyer. Yandy says, I got plenty of lawyers. But Yandy don't have anything to sue about because apparently it's all true. She's sitting there admitting it on TV. So They talked about the little things in the blogs. I think Kendra was trying to be very, very polite as possible and not blow it up. Now, Kendra, I would give her credit. This season so far, I haven't seen Kendra yell, scream, or shout too much. Maybe she's seen herself in a few other episodes and didn't like what she saw. Maybe her boss has told her to tone down. Maybe Jock told her to tone down. But this season, Kendra has been very quiet because we so used to her saying, Jock, I'm sick of you, Jock. And she ain't saying nothing. So I'm like, it's different Kendra. I like that. But I know currently up to date, her and Kendra and Jock are supposed to be going through some type of divorce or separation. I hope that's not true, but that's kind of what I'm hearing in the streets. Now, they're sitting there having a conversation, and who pops along? Little Zane wife, once again sitting there being I don't know if somebody told her to go and steer shit up, but every time she sit down, she asks the most inappropriate questions to people. You should be focusing on Little Zane because remember, before this, before they start showing the Rashida and Kurt and Yandy and Mendeezy's mess up, she was sitting there with Little Zane's mama, giving her the rundown. You treat these kids better than me. You treat his Michelle, whatever name, better than me. Just going in. This is a listening party. The father had to step in and say, be quiet. That girl don't know when to shut up. Every time she's in a scene, she's running off at the mouth about stuff she need to just be quiet. Shouldn't even be speaking on. Now, I will say this. When Zell came up to her and said, you look different, I noticed it too, but I didn't know she started putting them injections in her face. For the love of God, don't do that. And I'm with Zell and them on that. Don't walk around with it. I don't know what it is about some of you young ladies in Atlanta on reality TV. I don't know anybody else under the people that's on reality TV. I don't know you personally, but I see you on the screen, so we can see what your face look like. Stop jacking up your faces, women. You are beautiful. I can't say that enough. I said it. Stop jacking your faces up. Please do not go out there and start having your face looking like the tight face crew because you are a pretty girl. I mean, even though I don't always like how you come into the scenes, you are a pretty girl. Don't do that. Don't get to that. Don't get addicted to that tight face crap. Please. That's one thing I could say about Zell. As messy as he is, he did tell you the truth on that. So fast forward back to the conversation. She comes, sit down, and just throws everything on the table. What about the stuff in the blogs? Is it true? Because the content creator, I want to say people's names. I ain't trying to get sued around here. The content creator said that this was said and that was said. Are y'all still together? Do y'all have a poly relationship? Is it an open relationship? This all over the place. If I was Yandy, I would have got up and told that girl, shut the F up and get out of my damn face. You are taking it too far. You're a little bit too nosy. You didn't ease into any of those questions. You just came at her full lock, stock, and barrel. And Andy wasn't ready for it. She was like, But basically, she did admit that they were having some issues in a marriage. He was doing his thing. She was doing her thing. Basically, what they like to call it in this generation is there was a break in the marriage. He did his thing, she did her thing. That's why when Kendra said, do you have a lawyer? She said, I got plenty of lawyers, but she can't do anything because she knew it was true. She knew the voice messages was true. She knew what they were saying about her was true. According to her, they already had talked about it. She cried about it. They had discussions about it, and it's a wrap. But it's just the fact that Yandy has been playing in our faces the whole time this whole rumor thing was going on with her and Mendeezy. Mendeezy been playing our faces, and I knew Mendeezy. One thing about these reality shows, whenever there's stuff that's going on that sounds a little bit negative in these relationships, when there's a little bit of, when they say there's smoke, there's fire, it always seemed to be the truth. Now they'll say, oh, that's a rumor, they're lying. And then eventually they'll come out and say, well, it did happen. I just didn't want to talk about it. Stop getting on these platforms where you are to expose your life for pay, because that's what you're doing. You're exposing your life for pay. Let's keep it real. If you have to expose your life for pay and you don't want to expose your life, then don't get on them platforms. That's why some people refuse to do reality TV because they know what it's about. You guys get on there and think you're going to hide it. Keep in mind, you are now a quote unquote celebrity, or at least a reality TV star. So there's somebody who wants to eat off you, who wants your spot, who may want to get on the show. So they're going to start making phone calls and getting paid for stories that they know behind the scenes about you. Happens every show. So when you're sitting there saying Mendeezy didn't do this, Mendeezy never came out and outwardly denied the cheating rumors. He just like, oh, don't listen to them. Don't know what they talking about. Me and so and so. He did his little thing like that. You know, and so Yandy was like, y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Y'all not finna ruin my marriage. I knew then there could have been just a small percentage that Mendeezy did do some of these things. And now it's coming out, everything they said was true. That's what we say. Stop playing in our faces. We're watching this show. We're watching this unfold. You're lying to us on screen, but you're saying it's your reality. So I say all this to say, Kurt and Rashida, Yandy and Mendeezy, you're all four in the same boat. The only difference is Yandy was the one having an emotional affair, along with Mendeezy having whatever side chick he had going on. And over here, Kurt allegedly was messing with Jasmine and created a baby. Yandy and Mendeezy didn't produce a child out of their whatever they was doing out there in them streets, but Kurt did. So Rashida, you're both on the same level playing field when it comes to cheating. You don't have any room to disrespect Yandy or Mendeezy. Now, what Mendeezy said about you possibly wanting him, I get that. It pissed you off because y'all not in a good place. But as far as you calling them all kind of names and disrespectful and you despise them and they full of shit, honey, y'all in the same boat. Y'all in the same boat. If you're saying that, this person was so disrespectful for going out and doing what they did, you saying why he at home, she taking trips, sitting on another man's whatever, your husband was sitting on or was in another woman's whatever. Same thing. Same thing, Rashida. So it's kind of the pot calling the kettle black type thing you doing. And it doesn't look good because I can guarantee the comments was probably eating you up for that one. Again, Yandy, you've been lying to us a lot. And as I look back on the history of this show, I'm starting to believe there was a lot more lies you done told us that we really didn't know about. Going all the way back to New York, what I started with, and how those relationships ended to now. And to this day, are you really married to Mendeezy? I know y'all had a spiritual wedding, but I do remember on several occasions, it was mentioned your paperwork was never found. Now, maybe some of these internet detectives will go find it. I don't do that because I don't get that deep into this. Again, I do my commentary based on what I see on the screen and what I know about the history of the show. I don't dig up court records or none of that because it ain't that deep for me. Okay. So this week, I'm faulting all four of you cheaters. Okay, y'all may not like me this week, and next week I may be on Yandy's side or Rashida's side. But in this particular episode, both y'all was out of line. The way y'all treated each other and the way y'all talked about each other when all four of y'all is in the same doggone was in or currently in or had been in the same predicament. That's why y'all should be bonding together to help each other instead of fighting. It just doesn't look good. Okay. And the only other person I have to talk about outside of them is that damn Zane's wife. Zane, check your wife. I'm surprised ain't nobody punched that girl in the mouth. There is no way in the world, I don't care what I'm going through. You wouldn't have came up to my table, sat down there, and gave me the third degree, like I was on the episode of the first 48 or something. Yandy, that's the one time I would have gave you approval to cuss somebody out, and you shouldn't. You stood there like a young lady. You maintain, be a nice coach. No, she needed to be checked right then and there. She should have been. She was digging too deep and too freaking nosy, as far as I'm concerned. Just my opinion. All right. But yeah, I just felt like, we're starting to see a different side of Yandy. Maybe all that she had showed us on the show wasn't really the truth. We still trying to figure out if she's still married. Kurt and Rashida, I know they're going through a lot right now, so I'm trying to take it light on them. But it's you kind of gave the pot calling the kettle black effect by looking, talking about Yandy and DC's situation when your situation wasn't too much better. And that wasn't the first time Curtis cheated on you. I mean, there's been other episodes early on in the season. And if memory serves me correctly, I think there was a time that you might have allegedly stepped out on Kurt, a couple of seasons when y'all first started, maybe five or six, when it was the whole issue with Y'all splitting up right after you got pregnant, and Kurt was trying to do a DNA on that last baby you had. I ain't forgot. Kurt was accusing you of doing some stuff. So why you talking about Yandy hopping on another man's private part? Who private part was you hopping on back there that Kurt needed to do a DNA test on your youngest son? You got to be careful because if nothing else, the internet, social media, and hell, a good DVR going back to season 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, going to reveal the same crap you saying to Yandy, you was doing. I ain't forgot. I know sometimes our memories get short, but I remember before that baby was born, Kurt demanded a DNA. He accused you of cheating on him with somebody. You never really denied it. Now, if I go back and look at the episode, I can get it correct, exactly right. But I remember that because that was around the time when your mama ran over his motorcycle in her car. That was around the time the whole uh what you call it, the hot tub incident with Bambi and the dude who daughter's a singer now. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but Carly Red dated him. So we remember back then too, Rashida. So again, be careful how you talk to people because maybe some of these people memories are short, but mine's is not. That's all I'm saying. All right, now let's finish this up. So then they get to Kurt and Rashida standing in the kitchen. They're pouring a glass of wine and having a conversation. Kurt and Rashida go back to what happened at that night. They can't believe Mendeezy says something to the effect that Rashida wanted him, that, Rashida's the main course. He don't want no appetizers. Then not Yandy, I'm sorry. Rashida made a comment about, you know, Mendeezy being a little man. I don't do little men. And, he getting his hair replaced and he need to stay out of the strip club while he's in the strip club, his wife is over there on somebody else's manhood. Again, Rashida, comments like that are just anyway. So then Kurt goes into this. I'm just sick of them. I wish they just go back to New York. And I told y'all. They do not like them. It seemed like there's a jealousy thing. It seemed like Rashida and Kurt wants to be the main characters on this show. He said, go back to New York. How you going to tell people where to go to? Kurt, you're from New York, allegedly. Now, then they get back to Mandy. I mean, sorry, I keep calling her Mandy. Yandy's friend, who was bashing Yandy on social media, and they're like, "I'm trying to figure out what's going on here because I'm tired of their plotting and their scheming and all of this stuff that they're doing, and it must be something really going on bad for her friend, who's her best friend, to get on all these platforms and start talking nasty about her and bashing her, and then that person is atting Rashida, trying to reach out to her to tell her even more information about what they're supposed to be doing." And again, what's the plot? So Yandy and Mendeezy moved down there to Atlanta from New York to take Rashida and Kurt out. They came on Love and Hip Hop to take your spot. What is the plot? You both were equally successful. I can understand moving from New York to Atlanta. A lot of people do it. New York is very, very expensive. It's not a shock that she moved there. It's not a shock that she's friends with the lady who produces Love and Hip Hop, Atlanta. So I'm not surprised she's on the show. I just think they wanted to be the premier couple and don't like that Yandy and Mendeezy has came on the show and people have gravitated toward them when you all could have been in this thing together. In my opinion, the jealousy is oozing out a little bit out of Rashida and Kurt, but they're at the point now where they can one up Yandy and Mendeezy because of this whole situation storyline that's going on right now. So Yandy and Mendeezy, technically, you're losing. We need to see y'all get off of this losing train and get back to the spot where you should be. Kurt and Rashida, technically winning. They've been there longer. People know them. They respect them. And even though y'all situations are somewhat similar, y'all are on the losing side at this point, Yandy and Mendeezy. So let's get it together. Last but not least, special prayers go out to Sierra. Sorry about your loss. You aired that. It's very informational for young ladies who are out here trying to have babies. Don't give up. Um, and Jock, I don't know. I didn't I'm not following the story that much. Like I say, I don't like to get into those type of details about people's lives because I could see it's kind of a hard thing for them. And I don't get any gratification making other people miserable. Like what Kirk's saying, you don't get gratification making other people miserable. You can't, find happiness making other people miserable. Um, but I'm glad his brother was able to get bail. I don't know if he's out of jail or not. I mean, some people may report on it. I just don't like to get that deep into people's personal lives. I stick to what I see on television. I give them the same respect that I would want other people to give me. I don't want my personal life all over the blogs if I was a celebrity, and I would give that person the same respect. Now, with that being said, I appreciate everybody who listened to this comment. Hit the like button, subscribe, share. Thank you. Thank you for following, listening to Generation X Nation. And I will get out here and try to get another video out. And I don't know, the next video could be talking about, I just have to, there's so many shows on TV I could discuss that I actually watch, but I kind of, narrow it down to about 2 or 3 shows because I don't have the time to constantly go on and update different shows. So, with that being said, you guys be safe out here. Go out and have a great rest of your day. And this is Gen X Nation. Peace, and I'm out.